watching. Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett of Texas. She is a member of the House Oversight Committee. Congresswoman Crockett, welcome back to the Sunday show. So I just want to bring folks up to speed. When it came to the vote on the spending bill that averted the government shutdown, you voted present on that bill. Why vote present and not no or yes?
Yeah, no, I did not. First of all, I was going to stand with my colleagues, and I definitely was not going to send a message that I did not want to help those service members and those TSA agents and everyone else that is relying on the government to stand open. So I definitely wasn't going to vote no. But at the same time, voting yes to me was going to send a signal to the other side that it's okay to just disrupt an agreement that has been made because of a tweet that someone who is not elected currently or even going to be elected to the presidency because he sends out a tweet. That's not how we do business. In addition to that, I really hated the fact that there had not been any conversation about the fact that there was over $90 million in this package specifically for Trump's inauguration party. Yet they wanted to say that it was too much money to fund things such as child cancer research. So I just felt as if it was against my values to kind of say that it's okay, that this is how the ultimate bill came about. But at the same time, I wouldn't want to do any harm to those that rely on us, especially at Christmas time.
Now, you put out a tweet that went viral, as a lot of your tweets do. And to put it here, it's Elon Musk with Donald Trump, you know, being the puppet, with you writing period in all caps. I want to have you listen to, and let's just remind people, the drama last week kicked off because Elon Musk went completely bananas on Twitter over the bipartisan spending deal, the original one that he blew up. But listen to Senator Markwayne Mullin, Republican of Oklahoma, what he has had to say today on Fox about Elon Musk's role. Watch this.
Think about this. We're bringing in the richest, the most successful man in the United States, in fact, in the world. And President Trump has got him to come in to be the government's consultant, to show where we're having wasteful spending, to show where we can do things better for the people we serve. And what is wrong with that?
Well, Congresswoman, answer that question. What is wrong with that?
Besides the conflicts of interest that take place, listen, Elon is rich because of the federal government, the same federal government that he talks about being so wasteful. I know that we can start by cutting any dollars that we send into him. You know, we know that he took out a loan from the federal government, and it was because of that loan that he was able to continue on with his venture with Tesla. We know that Tesla has a certain amount of issues, but even right now, they have decided that they're not going to allow for the reports to come out or the investigation to continue as it relates to the crashes that are taking place with the Teslas. I mean, this guy is the definition of self-dealing, but here's the reality. His co-president, Mr. Trump, is the exact same way. We know that Trump failed to divest. The difference is, at least Elon is not elected to federal government, but we know that this guy is going to get rid of competitors. We know that he's probably going to steer more money to himself. And honestly, we have no real oversight because putting Marge over the Doge committee is a joke in and of itself. So I just want America to basically keep their eyes open, stay woke, and see exactly what happens.
I mean, you call it Doge, I call it dodgy. But let's move on and talk about the speaker's race, the speaker's vote on January 3rd. We just played sound of Leader Jeffries saying, no, Democrats will not be bailing out Speaker Johnson when it comes time for that vote. But today on CNN, Congressman Burchett, Republican of Tennessee, actually said the quiet part out loud. Here's what he said about who the next speaker will be.
I think ultimately it's going to be decided who President Trump likes, because I believe that will weigh in heavily on the decision making of that. Because currently President Trump works very well with Mike Johnson.
And Congresswoman, yeah, President Trump works very well with Mike Johnson, but when he was given an opportunity late in I guess a couple of days ago, to extend some support to Speaker Johnson, he said, quote, well, we'll see. If not Mike Johnson, who could the next speaker be?
I have no idea. Listen, this is the problem. I will tell you, I will give credit to Speaker Johnson in the fact that he knew going in that he was going to need Democrats. So instead of playing all these games and whatnot, he decided to just go ahead and enter into the negotiations with the Democrats because he was going to need our votes. Then the Republicans wanted to cry and say, well, wait a minute. The Democrats are going to be the ones that shut the government down if they don't help us get our bill passed. Listen, you guys are in the majority, but you don't know how to function. And so we know when it came down to it that Mike Johnson was a guy that nobody had ever heard of. And they basically said, well, who can we get that doesn't have any baggage? So they had to go all the way down in seniority to find someone that hadn't pissed off other people in their delegation. But we know that almost 40 Republicans voted against this spending bill. We are going to continue to have these types of issues. We know that the government has only stayed open every single time that we've had this crisis in the 118th because of the Democrats. So what you're not going to do is think that Democrats are just going to sit there and take whatever you give us to pass on your behalf. If you want our help, then you talk to us, you negotiate with us, and you make sure that this isn't something that is just a part of his agenda, but is a part of America's agenda, which includes not only Democrats and Republicans. And for everybody that believes that there has been a mandate, let me remind you that neither of these candidates got 50% of the vote. And in fact, we're talking about less than 1% that separated us. So no, we will not sit there and just take whatever they give us. And if they believe that they have a mandate, then I suggest that he gets all 219 of his members in line, because don't rely upon us, because we got one answer when they ask us on January 3rd who we vote for speaker, and it will be Hakeem Jeffries.
Whew, somebody just got red for filth. I don't know who, but they're hurting. Let me play something, actually, to what you were just talking about. Listen to Steve Bannon, what he had to say on Thursday at America Fest. Pretty much on this. Watch this.
We don't need partisanship now. We need hyper-partisanship now. The conversation is over. We have nothing else to discuss. It's only about the execution of President Trump's plan.
And I wanted to play that, Congresswoman Crockett, because that actually amplifies your point. Steve Bannon, if the conversation is over and, you know, it's all about executing Donald Trump's plan, then you should be able to do it with 217 votes in the next Congress, all of them, to get that agenda through.
Yeah, good luck with that. I mean, listen, they had a bigger majority. You know, when I came into the 118th, they had more folk. We ended up flipping a number of seats. We held on to some very tight seats. And now there is only going to be a 2-seat majority once the 3 of the folk are out. We know that Matt Gaetz is already gone. And then once the last 2, Stefanik, as well as Walz, are gone, that's going to put them at 217. For everybody sitting at home, that means that you can only lose 1 vote, because that puts you at 216. That means you can't lose any votes, because if it's even, that means that the bill fails. So he literally has to be perfect. And let me tell you, if you paid attention all year long, especially this past week, you know that he is deemed as anything but perfect. And honestly, there's no one in that caucus who is.